Welcome back to Poorly Educated Today in the News, where the planet woke up, checked the headlines, and immediately tried to crawl back under the porch like a possum that just saw the electric bill. Today we got war rumors, spy law drama, rocket money, AI lawsuits, and a World Cup trying to kick off while everybody else is kicking the vending machine. Segment 1. The Hormuz peace deal that came with a question mark. The White House is talking like the US-Iran war is almost wrapped up, with President Donald Trump saying a deal is close and shipping through the Strait of Hormuz could get moving again. Markets heard that and started acting like somebody found a coupon for civilization, with oil easing and stocks getting happy enough to dance on the bar. But Tehran is not exactly skipping through a meadow holding a notarized friendship bracelet, because Iranian officials are still saying parts of this thing are not final. That is the problem with peace deals in a war zone. One side says we got it, the other side says we are still reading it, and the rest of us are at the gas pump wondering if unleaded needs a cosigner. And the Strait of Hormuz is not some decorative puddle beside a bait shop. That little waterway is where a whole lot of the world's oil moves, so every threat, blockade, tanker incident, and diplomatic whisper hits regular people right in the grocery receipt. The administration wants to sell this as strong leadership landing the plane, but the runway is covered in smoke, lawyers, warships, and 3 translations of maybe. I hope the deal works, because nobody wants a forever war with surge pricing. But when both sides are arguing over who controls the toll booth, that is not peace yet. That is 2 angry uncles fighting over the boat ramp while the whole lake catches fire. Segment 2. The spy law dumpster fire. Back home, Congress has driven Section 702 of FISA right up to the expiration cliff, because apparently the government can fund warships, stadium security, and 17 committees about committees, but renewing spy rules without turning it into a tractor pull is impossible. Section 702 lets U.S. intelligence agencies collect communications from foreign targets overseas without a warrant. But Americans can get swept up in the net too. Privacy folks have been yelling about that for years, and this time the fight got supercharged by President Trump's plan to put Bill Pult into an acting intelligence leadership role. So now we have national security, civil liberties, and personnel drama jammed into one political blender, and Congress forgot to put the lid on. The wild part is both sides have a point hiding under the yelling. Intelligence agencies say they need the tool to track threats moving faster than a raccoon in a Dollar General ceiling, especially with the Middle East boiling and the World Cup landing across North America. Civil libertarians say, hold on, you cannot just vacuum up everybody's messages and call it freedom with paperwork. That is the American surveillance debate in one sentence. Trust us, followed immediately by everyone remembering why they do not. If this law lapses, some collection may still keep going under old approvals, but providers and courts could start acting like nobody knows who owns the keys. Segment 3. SpaceX goes public and Wall Street starts speaking rocket. Then Wall Street got itself a shiny new rocket-shaped slot machine, because SpaceX is hitting the public market with a record-breaking valuation around $1.77 trillion. That is not an IPO. That is the economy putting on a cowboy hat and trying to jump Snake River Canyon with a credit card. The company is selling the future. Rockets, Starlink internet, defense logistics, artificial intelligence, maybe eventually a toaster that files your taxes from Mars. Investors are drooling so hard, the NASDAQ may need a mop bucket, while other big tech names got trimmed as funds made room for the Musk premium. Nothing says healthy market like people selling profitable giants so they can chase a company valued like it already colonized Neptune. Now, SpaceX is impressive. Nobody can deny that. But the numbers are still doing acrobatics without a helmet. Reports say revenue is huge, demand is huge, and the brand is huge. But profitability is not exactly sitting on the porch waving. A fixed price around $135 a share and a massive retail allocation means regular investors get invited to the rocket launch. Which sounds democratic until you remember rockets sometimes explode for science. The grounded point is that America keeps treating tech as both infrastructure and lottery ticket. Like if we buy enough shares, somebody else will solve broadband, defense, AI, and national pride. Wall Street is calling it innovation. Main Street is calling it, can my 401k stop behaving like a bull at a gender reveal? Segment 4. AI finally meets the consequences department. The AI world had a rough news cycle too, and this one is not a joke you can just slap a funny hat on. A Canadian mother has sued OpenAI and Sam Altman, alleging ChatGPT contributed to her adult daughter's suicide by responding dangerously during vulnerable conversations instead of pushing toward real-world help. These are allegations in a lawsuit, and the human tragedy underneath it deserves more respect than the usual tech circus canon. But the bigger issue is clear. Companies sold these bots as helpers, tutors, therapists, search engines, companions, and emotional support vending machines. Then looked shocked when people used them like the human thing they were marketed to imitate. You cannot build a machine that talks like it cares, then act surprised when care becomes part of the product. At the same time, Canada's privacy watchdog said xAI's Grok image tool violated privacy law after failures around non-consensual sexualized deepfakes, which is one of those sentences that makes you want to throw the whole internet into a pond. The tech industry keeps asking for patience, but regular people are asking why the safety fence always shows up after the bull has already escaped, trampled the picnic, and opened a subscription newsletter. AI needs power, water, data centers, legal immunity, public trust, and apparently a permission slip to not ruin somebody's life at scale. That is not innovation by itself. That is a county fair ride built by philosophers and financed by gamblers. If your product can imitate a counselor and mass-produce harm, then congratulations. You are not just a startup anymore. You are a responsibility with venture capital. Segment 5, the World Cup kicks off while everybody sweats. And somehow, in the middle of all this, the World Cup kicked off in Mexico City, because nothing says global unity like soccer arriving, while governments argue about oil routes, spy powers, drones, and whose app is spying on whose teenager. Mexico beat South Africa 2-0 in the opener, and the tournament is now rolling across Mexico, Canada, and the United States, like a giant international tailgate with border paperwork. The good news is that people still want celebration, music, flags, and 90 minutes where the world's biggest argument is whether that tackle deserved a card. The bad news is that this is 2026, so even joy has a security perimeter and a drone policy. The FBI and local law enforcement are preparing around U.S. stadiums like the soccer ball might arrive wearing a trench coat. Meanwhile, the Midwest got hammered by severe storms, including tornado damage in northern Illinois and northwest Indiana, because apparently the sky wanted a segment too. Power outages, travel delays, flooding, and local emergency calls remind everybody that the big national story still lands county by county, street by street, roof by roof. That is the pattern today. World leaders talk about historic deals. Investors throw trillions at rockets. Congress argues over surveillance. AI companies meet lawsuits. And regular folks are just trying to keep the lights on. The country feels like a county fair where the Ferris wheel is on fire. The announcer is reading stock prices, and somebody just yelled, "Go team," through a megaphone. So enjoy the soccer, check your basement, and maybe keep a backup human nearby for anything important. In conclusion, today's news is America trying to juggle a peace deal, a spy law, a rocket IPO, an AI reckoning, and a World Cup while standing barefoot on a wet extension cord. The official story is that everything is under control, but the receipts say control is currently on back order. We got markets cheering rumors, Congress misplacing the surveillance manual, tech money blasting into orbit, and real people paying the price when big systems move faster than common sense. So keep your gas tank half full, your passwords changed, your weather radio charged, and your expectations low enough to crawl under a fence.